The Secret Service has suspended 6 of its agents without pay in connection with the assassination attempt on President Donald Trump just under a year ago. The agency's deputy director, Matt Quinn, confirmed the disciplinary action on Wednesday, stating that the penalties for the agents ranged from 10 to 42 days of unpaid leave. Upon their return, the agents have been placed in restricted roles with less responsibility. The suspensions are a direct result of the security failure at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13, 2024. During that event, a gunman was able to open fire, killing a rally attendee, 50-year-old firefighter Corey Comparatore, and grazing the president's ear. 2 other people were also injured before the shooter was killed by a Secret Service sniper. Deputy Director Quinn described the incident as an operational failure and stated the agency is laser-focused on fixing the root cause of the problem. The fallout from the Butler shooting and a second assassination attempt in Florida weeks later was immense, leading to the resignation of then Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle. In December, a bipartisan House task force released a 180-page report concluding the Butler incident was preventable. The report detailed critical failures, including an inadequate risk assessment for the event site and poor positioning of counter-sniper teams. The Secret Service says it has since implemented changes, including a new fleet of military-grade drones and mobile command posts designed to improve radio communications and coordination with local law enforcement at protected events. The focus on presidential matters continues with developments concerning former President Joe Biden. Dr. Kevin O'Connor, who served as the White House physician during the Biden administration, invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination during closed-door testimony before the House Oversight Committee yesterday. Dr. O'Connor appeared before the committee on July 9th as part of its ongoing investigation into President Biden's mental acuity during his term in office. The committee has been examining allegations that White House staffers used an Autopen to affix the president's signature to official documents, allegedly without his direct knowledge. The committee's chairman, Republican Congressman James Comer of Kentucky, sharply criticized the move. In a statement, Comer accused O'Connor of concealing the truth, claiming it's clear there was a conspiracy to cover up President Biden's cognitive decline and referencing the doctor as a family business associate. Dr. O'Connor is not the first former staffer to decline to answer the committee's questions, but his refusal is particularly notable given his role as the former president's personal physician. This development is the latest flashpoint in a highly partisan inquiry. Democrats on the committee have denounced the investigation as a political sham and an attempt to distract from the current administration's agenda. They argue the inquiry is based on unfounded claims and serves only to fuel political division. From investigations into the past, we turn to a significant policy action from the current administration. The Department of Justice, under Attorney General Pamela Bondi, announced on Wednesday that it has subpoenaed more than 20 doctors and clinics across the country. The move is part of a broad federal investigation into the providing of sex change procedures and treatments for minors. The agency stated it is investigating potential healthcare fraud and the making of false statements in connection with these services. In a strongly worded statement, Attorney General Bondi said, "Medical professionals and organizations that mutilated children in the service of a warped ideology will be held accountable." This action fulfills a promise Bondi made in a departmental memo this past April and follows an executive order President Trump signed early in his second term, which bars federal funding for such procedures. This federal push comes just a month after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that a Tennessee law banning these specific medical treatments for adolescents is not discriminatory. Critics of the administration's policy, including major medical associations, argue that such care is medically necessary and that these investigations create a climate of fear for both doctors and patients seeking treatment. They maintain that denying access to care is what causes harm to vulnerable youth. While the administration advances its domestic agenda, it is also making major moves on the international economic stage. President Trump announced on Tuesday that he plans to impose an additional 10% tariff on all member nations of the BRICS economic bloc. The president stated the new tariff is a direct response to what he calls the group's effort at de-dollarization. Speaking to reporters, Trump claimed the bloc was set up to destroy the dollar so that another country can take over and be the standard. He issued a direct warning saying, if they're a member of BRICS, they're going to have to pay 10% tariff just for that one thing, and they won't be a member long. The BRICS bloc, originally Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, recently expanded to include nations like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Iran, and Egypt. The group has been openly discussing ways to increase trade using their own local currencies, reducing dependence on the US dollar. A blanket tariff would affect a huge swath of global trade, potentially leading to retaliatory measures and higher prices for American consumers. While President Trump said he does not view the bloc as a serious threat, his administration's tariff threat represents a significant escalation in economic pressure against the growing coalition. And finally, shifting from international policy to a developing crisis at home, rescue efforts are intensifying across the American Southwest amid catastrophic flooding. In southern New Mexico, heavy, sustained rainfall has triggered flash floods that have claimed at least 3 lives. The situation is especially dire in neighboring Texas, where authorities have now confirmed a staggering death toll of at least 119 people across 6 counties. The human cost of this disaster continues to climb as a desperate search for the missing is underway. In Kerr County, Texas alone, officials report that more than 160 people remain unaccounted for, leaving communities in agonizing uncertainty. Rescue teams, including National Guard units and volunteers, are navigating treacherous, debris-filled waters. Entire neighborhoods are submerged, with homes and infrastructure completely washed away by the powerful floodwaters. The crisis was triggered by an extreme weather event that dumped an unprecedented amount of rain in a very short period. Emergency shelters have been established for the thousands displaced, and officials are warning residents in nearby low-lying areas to remain on high alert, as river crests are still being monitored downstream. For now, the urgent focus remains on the search and rescue operations, as first responders race against time amid the widespread devastation.